News Channel 15 presents The Film Reel, the talk show where we discuss everything going on in the world of movies and television, with hosts Bryce West and Ian Lloyd. This is The Film Reel. Hello and welcome back into The Film Reel, the talk show where we discuss everything going on in the world of movies and television. I'm Bryce West.
And I'm Ian Lloyd.
And today we're going to be reviewing Insidious the Red Door, the latest addition into the popular Insidious horror franchise, as well as Joyride, a new comedy that just came out this weekend. But first, before we get into that, we're going to take a look at the box office results for this past weekend.
Coming in at number 5 is Transformers: Rise of the Beast, starring Anthony Ramos and Dominique Fishback. During the 90s, a new faction of Transformers, the Maximals, joined the Autobots as allies in the battle for Earth. The film brought in $7.3 million, dropping 37.4% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Tegan Rule.
Coming in at number 4 is No Hard Feelings, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Andrew Barth Feldman. On the brink of losing her home, Maddie finds an intriguing job offer. Helicopter parents looking for someone to bring their introverted 19-year-old son out of his shell before college. She has one summer to make him a man or die trying. The film brought in $7.8 million, dropping 47.7% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Drew Pounton.
Coming in at number 3 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, starring Shameik Moore and Haley Steinfeld. Miles Morales catapults across the multiverse, where he encounters a team of spider people charged with protecting its very existence. When the heroes clash on how to handle a new threat, Miles must redefine what it means to be a hero. The film brought in $12 million, dropping 36.9% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Ian Klingler.
Coming in at number 2 is Elemental, starring Leah Lewis and Mamadou Athey. The film follows Ember and Wade in a city where fire, water, land, and air residents live together. The film brought in $12.1 million, dropping 34.2% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Mallory Burton.
Coming in at number 1 is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, starring Harrison Ford and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. The film follows archaeologist Indiana Jones as he races against time to retrieve a legendary artifact that can change the course of history. The film opened with $60.4 million. For The Film Reel, I'm Isaac Lloyd.
Yeah, so Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, from no surprise for no one, is number 1. $60 million, though, is not that great of a domestic open for Indiana Jones, especially because it has a pretty sizable budget. It's Harrison Ford. Indiana Jones is a fairly well-known property. Just like almost every other big Hollywood blockbuster that's come out this summer, once again, underperforming.
I think people are genuinely getting sick, and they're getting this fatigue of like reboots and remakes and all these like characters that are
Legacy
coming back.
Sequels,
Yeah. And I feel like people are sick of it, and they're not going to go out to the movies to see a blockbuster that'll just be at Disney Plus like in a month or so, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, like, the reception for Indiana Jones definitely wasn't poor, but it wasn't like, you have to go see this in the theater, you know? And I kind of agree. I think that's definitely something that you can wait for streaming on.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not that huge of an Indiana Jones fan. Like, if you're a major fan of the property, then yeah, you should probably go see it in the theater. But
wait for it to be at your house so you can have your armchair ready so you can just take a nice old nap.
Just like
mid through it.
Yeah, just like Indiana Jones at the beginning of the film.
Exactly.
So Indiana Jones, I think it's number 1 today. I don't think it'll continue to do all that well in the future. But number 2 is Elemental, which is kind of interesting because whenever it opened up, we were like, oh gosh, this is not looking too good.
Yeah.
Especially comparing it to other previous Pixar films. But now, comparing it to some of its competition in the box office, it's not doing too bad. It's number 2 still. It came out the same week as Flash, and Flash is now at number 8. And Flash was supposed to be like the movie this summer. Comparatively, Elemental, not doing too bad.
Yeah, I feel like families, they're starting to get the chance to go out more with their kids to the theater, and they're going to go to the new Pixar film. Probably more so than the DreamWorks film that bottomed out this box office.
Yeah, so we're kind of like jumping around here, but the Ruby Gillman, we covered this movie last week. It was a DreamWorks animated film. Didn't even make the top 5. Opened at number 6 with only $5.5 million. Absolutely abysmal opening, especially for a DreamWorks film.
It's a bummer. I want to root for this film because it's kind of up my alley, but the film overall is just not that good, and it's kind of annoying.
And apparently not that good films are up your alley or something?
I guess so.
But yikes. But no, I mean, what do you think Elemental has that Ruby Gillman doesn't? Like, why is it doing so much better?
I think the premise is more simple. It's it's like, oh, fire and water, they can't mix. People see the trailer, they're like, oh, that's cute. That's like the Pixar thing. They're doing elements this time instead of like feelings or thoughts or toys.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like if elements had feelings or whatever.
Almost.
Yeah.
I think. Wait, did they do that this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
I thought the whole film was about elements without feelings.
Dude, you are so stupid. I think, man, that was one of the dumbest jokes you made on the show.
Anyways, next one after Elemental is Spider-Man. And,
another animated film that's doing way better than the rest. Honestly, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is an animated film that's outperforming most of the live-action blockbusters coming out this blockbuster season.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to continue to do so for the next few weeks.
Yeah.
I think it's quickly becoming one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. Every rewatch, it just keeps getting better and better.
I could definitely see it staying at least in the top 10 for the rest of the summer.
It's
got some
and into the fall, and I mean it's become the highest grossing film from Sony Pictures Animation.
True.
So this is a huge win for Sony, and I think it's going to continue to stay that way. Coming in at number 4 is No Hard Feelings, a really fun comedy, low budget. So number 4 is pretty good for this. It was never going to open at number 1, especially with the competition that it has. But it stars Jennifer Lawrence, so she's a really big name that's going to draw people in. And word of mouth was pretty good on this film. So I'm
glad it's sticking around here.
Me too. It was a really fun film. And then coming in at number 5. Kind of a surprise. It stayed on.
Can't believe it's here.
Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Kind of like Elemental. Compared to the previous Transformers films, doesn't seem like this is that big of a success.
Yeah.
But compared to a lot of the other blockbusters this season, it's not doing as bad as it could be. So it's kind of interesting that was able to stay on. With that being said, we're going to move on into the box office showdown segment of the show. I lost last week, so Ian is going to give a bad review of one of my favorite movies of all time, Tick, Tick, Boom. I cannot wait to hear what he has to say about that. But first, we're going to give our predictions for this weekend's box office results. So coming in at number 1, this might be crazy.
Okay.
This might be a little out there. But I think Spider-Man could climb its way back up to number 1 again.
You're crazy for that one.
Am I though? I mean, look. We've proven and shown that this film has legs.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones didn't open that big. The reception in Indiana Jones isn't that big. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is the best received film I think of 2023 so far. At least major release wise. People absolutely love this film. People the rewatch value on this film is insane, especially since they're releasing alternate versions of the film that have different altered scenes and stuff. So that encourages people to keep coming back. So I think this film was made for repeat viewings.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like I say this a lot, but I feel like a lot of the people who were gonna go see Indiana Jones and wanted to see Indiana Jones saw it this week or last week, and I don't know how much legs it will have going into this weekend.
Yeah.
But I do still have Indiana Jones at number 2. I don't think it's going to drop down too much. In fact, for Spider-Man to come up to number 1, it's going to have to be neck and neck. It's gonna have to be really close. But I think the 2 movies that come out are coming out this weekend. The 2 new movies aren't huge competitors, so I think Spider-Man could maybe edge out. But at number 3, I have Insidious, which we'll be talking about later on in the show. It's an established horror franchise. It's continuing on the first 2 films. People know these characters. People know this franchise. So I think that's going to propel it to number 3.
Yeah.
And then number 4, also coming out this weekend, is Joyride. I think Joyride. Well, I mean, we'll talk about it later. It's probably the best film that came out this weekend. But it just doesn't have a major as big star value or as big name recognition.
Yeah.
As Insidious, I mean, one of the stars was in Everything Everywhere All at Once,
Stephanie
which
Shu,
was Best Picture winner last year in 2022. So that's a pretty big name. But otherwise, a lot of the actors haven't been in too much. So I don't know if people are going to be flocking to the theater to go see specifically them, which is what a lot of the times propels these comedies. So, but I think number 4 is low budget, at least compared to the other films. So I think it could be a good number for that. And then number 5, is holding on. I have Elemental.
Dear life.
It's doing a lot better than I think people thought it was.
Yeah.
It's still not doing super great, but I think it's definitely held on longer than people expected.
Yeah. I do not think Indiana Jones is going to bottom out as hard as you think it will. I think it's going to stick
I have it at
around.
number 2.
Yeah, but I think Spider-Man is definitely not going to reach the heights of where Indiana Jones is going to bottom out at. So Indiana Jones, number 1. Insidious, The Red Door, number 2. Like you said, established franchise. People know these characters. They know the name. They're going to go see a new horror film by the makers of like the Conjuring universe and all these like horror films from this specific era. And then number 3, Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse. It's definitely going to stay up here, and I think it's going to wedge itself right in the middle. And then number 4, Joyride, is raunchy comedy, R-rated. I don't think a ton of people are going to go see it, but I do hope that fans of these types of comedies will go out and spend their money on it, because it is a fantastic time in the theater. Number 5, Elemental. It's going to stay here, and if it doesn't, then I'll eat my words.
Well, with that being said, we're going to move on now to my punishment since I lost last week. So Ian is going to review one of my favorite films ever. It's Tick, Tick, Boom, starring Andrew Garfield. It's a musical about Andrew Garfield playing Jonathan Larson, who was the famous creator of the Rent musical. So I guess go ahead.
Okay, this movie sucks. It's so bad, guys. The directing is dodgy. I don't really know what's going on most of the time. It keeps flipping back and forth. Apparently, the main character's like singing about stuff that's going on.
So
but
like a
it's
musical.
Like,
okay.
It's kind of crazy. I don't understand the timelines. It's weird.
Timelines?
There's like one scene where like he like knocks and the whole production design falls down.
Like a musical.
So he's in a cafe, right? And the front of the cafe just falls down. Like the production design, like it's insane. The sets just are this faulty, and they're gonna keep that in.
Like they're falling apart.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know. Stylistically, this is kind of crazy. Not really like the thing. It's kind of confusing.
It's confusing.
Yeah, it feels
What was
weird.
confusing about it?
I just don't understand what's going on half the time. It feels real, but sometimes it doesn't. And he's like laying down on a wall. It's crazy. It's nuts. And then, not to mention, Andrew Garfield. I didn't know this guy could sing. Why didn't he sing sooner?
That's like a negative. That's a negative for you that he's able to sing.
Why didn't he reveal this to us sooner? He's too cool.
I wish he would have too. Yeah.
This guy's way cooler than me, and I don't like it. All right.
I mean, I agree, but sorry, man. Yikes.
What? You don't like me?
That would be really. What would be really cool if like you were able to if you're like one of those people who could like cry on command.
I should have done that. I should have.
Anyway, you should have practiced.
This movie's bad. I don't have many bad things to say about it because it's actually kind of good. But that's my review.
Okay. Well, that definitely was a very bad review of Tick, Tick, Boom.
Yes.
With that being said, we're going to take a quick break, and after this, we're going to be reviewing Insidious: The Red Door as well as Joyride. Stay tuned.
Summer is heating up, and so are the savings at Timberlake Furniture. The 2023 summer sale is underway. Take 23% off of all closeout items. Make sure you have the best indoor escape from the summer heat. Check out our large selection of bedroom suites from the name brands you know and trust. And be prepared to entertain this summer by browsing the area's largest selection of dining room sets. Visit the Tri-State's largest showroom with the largest selection, Timberlake Furniture, so your house feels like home.
Before coming to Senior Enrichment Center, I was so depressed that I couldn't get out of bed. That all changed once I started seeing Danielle, the social worker, and Melanie, the nurse. They have been so kind and they truly care about my health. They have helped me to be able to go out and have shown me the importance of how to deal with my problems in a more constructive way. I think anyone who is experiencing grief, depression, anxiety, or isolation can benefit from this program. The Senior Enrichment Center has changed my life.
For over a century, the First National Bank has been here, serving our local communities. We're proud to still be locally owned and managed, with friendly customer service from people that you know and trust. We're here to support our neighbors, investing in our communities. We're proud to provide the latest in digital banking technology, serving as your complete financial partner. Visit us online at fnba.bank or stop by one of our convenient locations in Allendale, Mount Carmel, Carmine, or West Salem today. The First National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Morton Solar and Electric, the Tri-State's leading local solar provider, is proud to announce the opening of our new office in Mount Carmel, Illinois. Join us for our Solar is for Everyone educational and group purchase event on Saturday, July 8th at 11 a.m., where we'll be offering a discounted group purchase opportunity. RSVP is required and can be completed through Eventbrite or our Facebook page. Morton Solar and Electric, celebrating our 20th anniversary and offering you our lowest price of the summer through our special event July 8th. RSVP today.
Welcome back into the film reel. Today we're going to be reviewing Insidious, The Red Door, as well as Joyride. We're going to be starting off with Insidious. So this is the sixth film in the franchise, fifth or sixth?
Fifth film.
But this is only continuing on the story of the first two films.
Yes. 3 and 4 are prequels to the first two.
Yeah.
I haven't seen those. I don't know. Sorry, fans.
Thanks.
I'm not Insidious, like, diehard.
Yeah.
And you haven't even seen any of these.
No, I haven't seen any of the Insidious films besides this one. I felt like I got what I needed from the trailers, so I just went into this blind. I hadn't seen any of the previous films, and you know what? It was surprisingly easy to follow.
Yeah.
For it being like supposedly the last film in the series, I'm sure they'll probably make more at some point. But
they're closing off this timeline or this story with these characters from the first two films, but it's relatively easy to jump into it because at the start of the film, you're basically in the same situation as the main two characters who have had their memory wiped of everything that's gone on before. So you're learning about what's going on as they're learning about what's going on. So it's easy to follow for new fans.
Right, which could be good for people like me who just kind of want to check out a horror flick this weekend. But and the plot was interesting. I do like the whole, like, there's an alternate universe that they go into and there's these monsters there. I think that's a pretty cool concept, and what they do. I mean, we're trying not to get into spoilers, but what they do with like the painting, I think, is really neat.
It is.
And so, but the plot itself is really slow.
Yeah.
It's only about an hour and a half, but it feels long.
Yeah, it feels like 2 hours or more. The pacing is just kind of all over the place. Yeah. But like you said, the core central story about these characters, this family that's been like through all this like traumatic experiences is really interesting. And the way they like take info from like the first few films and like use it like a decade later to like show like where these characters been, what they're doing now. It's really interesting. But it is just kind of a slog to get through.
Yeah, and also the dialogue is pretty horrible.
Yeah.
The dialogue is really, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just not great dialogue. The screenplay, I don't think, is written too well.
Now, it is written by Lee Winnell, who's been part of the Insidious franchise forever.
I wasn't into it, personally.
Yeah.
I like the world, and I like the concept of the universe, but I felt like the writing of this film was just really, I don't know if cheesy is the right word, because that's not really what I'm trying to say, but
schlocky.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
You know.
A little bit, it is.
So, Overall, it does make me interested in the prior Insidious films. I do kind of want to check them out, but I'm definitely not rushing to go see them.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the previous Insidious films, I don't think you should go rush to the theater to see this either. I think it definitely, you would understand what was going on. That's not the problem with it. I just don't think it was that great of a film otherwise.
Yeah, it's not that engaging to watch.
Yeah.
And as far as like modern horror films go, it's just not that scary as like
it really was
this new wave of like this renaissance. This feels like
compared to something like Evil Dead Rise. Well, I mean, Evil Dead Rise had more of like the gore factor.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe it was just more grotesque, but I definitely felt myself feeling way more tense with Evil Dead Rise, which came out earlier this year, than this. I mean, there were some jump scares that got me a little bit, but it wasn't like I was like trembling in my seat or anything.
Yeah.
You know,
this feels like a last remnant of like that kind of boring era of like horror films where it was mostly just supernatural and it was full of jump scares, but like nothing that was actually that enticing.
Yeah.
So I would say if you're an Insidious fan, definitely go check it out. But if you want just like pure horror film, you might want to skip this one.
Yeah. So moving on now to something completely different. It's a comedy, Joyride. This was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Really, I said this with No Hard Feelings. I'm not huge into comedies, but this one, there was a lot of really funny moments in this.
Yeah, I'm starting to think, because you've said that, I think you just haven't seen the right comedies.
Probably, yeah.
Because now, this is going to be something we talk about, but we just kind of need more comedies like this. We need more mid-budget comedies just in the circulation for theaters, because we don't really get that anymore. We mostly get comedies that go straight to streaming.
Yeah.
And you don't get that feeling of like being in a theater with other people laughing behind you. It's a great feeling, and I think this is a perfect movie to go see for that specific thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really fun film, super funny. I loved all the characters. The plot itself was a little cheesy, but it's not necessarily a knock against the film. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with it. I keep getting pleasantly surprised by the comedies I've seen so far this year. Maybe you're right. Maybe I just haven't seen the right comedies. But this one's very raunchy.
Yes.
So if that's not your thing, then maybe
Steer
pass.
clear.
So very not safe for work. But if you do find that kind of stuff funny, you're going to find this film hilarious.
Yeah,
I think it's a really fun time.
It's a phenomenal time, and again, it's definitely raunchy. So, test you know your limits.
Yeah, right.
But
I think this could be a good jumping off point for a lot of the cast members in this who haven't been in a lot, because I was looking at some of their filmography and they've been in stuff, but it hasn't been a lot of stuff. So I'm hoping that because all the four main leads were really great in this.
Stephanie Hsu we've seen before, Everything Everywhere All at Once. She's phenomenal. Ashley Park is really good in this movie too.
Yeah.
She's the main character. Sherry Cola was really
good.
Yeah. That was maybe my favorite performance of the whole movie. She brings us humanity, but also silly nature to it. It's just a very chill attitude. But I think one of the most standouts is Sabrina Wu. They just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, really fun character. Yeah.
From what I've seen, this is the only film they've been on.
Yeah, that's why I saw it too. So I mean, I definitely think that they should be in more.
Yeah.
Because their character was absolutely hilarious. Really fit in with that group really well, kind of like the oddball character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a really fun film. If you're just looking for a fun time at the theater this weekend, but you're okay with a little raunchy, not safe for work comedy, definitely check out Joyride. With that being said, we're going to take one last quick break, and after this, we're going to be talking about some of the benefits of mid-budget films, especially with in this blockbuster season, seeing a lot of these large-budget films fail.
News Channel 15 on Roku TV. With a Roku-compatible device, News Channel 15 is within your reach. Simply access your Roku TV menu and scroll until you find an Add Channel selection. In the search bar, type Cablecast Screenweave and a green icon should appear. Select this app and choose to add channel to your device's main menu. Once Screenweave has downloaded, open the app and scroll through channels to find News Channel 15. News Channel 15, available on Roku and Apple TV.
News Channel 15 presents The Film Reel, the talk show where hosts Bryce West, Ian Lloyd, and Kane Jones give you the latest news in the world of movies and television. Join us every Friday night at 6 to know the greatest things to watch this summer. It's The Film Reel on News Channel 15.
My favorite thing about Wabash Valley College, it is a tight-knit community. I am very big into having a support system and to having people help me succeed, and being here at a community college, it is in fact a community college because we all support each other. We are all here for each other.
Welcome back into the Film Reel. To wrap things up here today, we're going to be kind of having a discussion about what are the benefits of having mid-budget films as compared to these massive, huge, big-budget blockbusters that we've been seeing this summer. Well, I guess every summer, but this summer they've been failing. They have not been doing very well. So I guess that's one thing. If you have a mid-budget film, you don't have to make like $1 billion to make profit, And I think a lot of these studios like Disney and Warner and like the really big ones are like, oh, we have to make $300 million budget films for people to even want to go see it. And I don't really think that's the case, because especially if you look at something like Indiana Jones, you can go back to Raiders of the Lost Ark and the action still looks just as good as Dial of Destiny. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, the deep fake technology in Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny is way more advanced, but they didn't need that.
Yeah, it's unneeded. Yeah. It's just it's excess. It's filler. I feel like, well, when we say mid-budget, we mean like $20 or $20 to $40 million or so. And I feel like mid-budgets, we've lost that in the recent decades and such. And not only like comedies, but like also thrillers. We've lost that sense of like something that is, easy for people to get into, and can have filmmakers that like really like use their flair to like make something interesting without having to feel beholden to like the restrictions with the studio, saying like, oh, we have to do what this focus test group said because we need to get as much money as possible, because the huge budgets are keeping them away from that.
Yeah, well, and I mean, we look at something, this is prime example numero uno, The Flash. A movie that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make, it's going to end up losing Warner Brothers an estimated like $200 million. But I mean, it cost that much money, and we enjoyed the film, but the CGI still didn't look that great with that huge, massive budget. So I mean, they're spending all this money, but where is it going to? Because I mean, it didn't go to the CGI. I mean, they said it was a creative choice, I
enjoyed my time with The Flash, but that film is going to age like milk, and it's not going to hold up at all. And movies that came out like 40 years ago that had like $10 million budgets, they're still like held up as cult classics.
And they're able to get exactly what I was about to say, get like a cult following. And like that's something that I've been seeing a lot here lately, especially with like direct to streaming. Is like it's going to be impossible for films like this to get like a cult following, because they just keep taking them off. As soon as they don't get like an instant profit, like an instant paycheck, like remove them from the face of existence, and so there's no legal way to watch them anymore. I mean, film studios have really become like, what's the quickest and easiest way to make money, even if it means losing money, which makes no sense. No. Because they release a film and then remove it or cancel it because they can get a tax write-off, and then it has become an absolute mess. I think that's why we need more mid-budget films like this. So,
in theaters, specifically.
Specifically in theaters, because I mean, I feel like here soon the theaters are going to be dying, because there's no reason to go see these big blockbuster films whenever they come to streaming 45 days later, and so it's just.
I don't think the theaters are going to die anytime soon, but I feel like
not anytime soon, but it's
these studios are just like losing free money that they could be getting if they just like
spend less money
on the films they're doing. Give creatives their own just give them the reins to do whatever they want. And when it's not on like a streaming service, they don't have to like feel like, oh, we got to make this look a certain way so like I can watch it on my phone and like lowest brightness and see what's going on.
Yeah.
It feels like it's hampering the cinematic language when we're doing it just this certain way.
Well, with that being said, we're going to wrap things up here on the Film Reel. Thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned next week, Friday nights at 6. We got brand new episodes coming for the rest of the summer. Thank you all once again so much for watching.